Hey everybody, Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics. This week's questions answered video. What's your opinion on night sights for handguns? I'll go ahead and preface this right now as I'm going to give my opinion based on my experience, my interaction with night sights throughout my career, and my interaction with night sights as I see them perform or fail to perform in low light classes. What is a night sight? So basically a night sight is going to have some kind of phosphorus or tritium insert. It's going to allow the sights to glow dimly, relatively speaking, in low light conditions so someone can find their sights and be able to shoot in those conditions. My feeling has always been this. From a functional point of view, if you can't see your sights, chances are you can't see what you're shooting at. So you're going to need some form of ambient lighting condition to be able to knowledgeably identify, positively identify that you do in fact need to shoot. Now, this is where we get into handheld lights, weapon lights. If I have a handheld light, if I have a weapon light, it's going to give me that light. It's also going to backlight your sights. So if you do have night sights, they then functionally become irrelevant because the backlighting washes out the dim glow that you're going to get from tritium or phosphorus. In natural lighting conditions or man-made lighting conditions, there's only one category in which those sights are advantageous, and that's mesopic light, which is kind of like that twilight condition where it's not quite dark, but it's not daylight. So the light is dim and the human eye is trying to decide as far as pupil dilation and so on and so forth, if it needs to switch to night vision or stay with trying to maintain that daylight intake. So under those conditions, the night sights are actually pretty advantageous. And then we run into the problem of night sight design. U-notch sights, that rear sight, U-notch sights aside, the majority of sights out there are right angles. You've got a square front sight post and you've got a square notch in the rear. I'm not a big U-notch fan, different conversation. So those are the sights you use. And then you add these 3 circles or a triangle or whatever. And your eye is supposed to reconcile a knowledgeable point of aim using radiuses, which when you put 2 circles together, you don't have the same fine-tuning ability, or I should say 3 circles together. You don't have the same fine-tuning ability as you do with hard edges, which is why sights have traditionally been square once we learned that round things don't work as well. And of course, you still have some round sights such as shotgun bead sights and things of that nature, but the majority of your handgun sights are going to be hard edges, which are easily defined by the eye, so you can make those fine adjustments without any guesswork. When you add round circles, radiuses, if you will, to your aiming platform, you do run into some potential problems with proper alignment. That doesn't mean you can't shoot as accurately. Now, am I totally deriding and dismissing night sights? No. What I'm saying is you can do the same amount of work very, very well and almost better. I don't want people to build false confidence in the fact that they have night sights on their gun when they should be thinking about, okay, even in an ambient lighting condition where I can see my threat, do I have enough ambient light to positively identify that that is my threat and that I should be actually shooting at the threat at that moment? If I need the night sights to actually be able to see my sights, the answer to that question, depending on distance and variable lighting conditions, may be no. You could be standing in a dimmer area than your threat's standing in. So if he's in a more well-lit area, you're going to be able to see him better, which means, yeah, I can see my sights thanks to my glowing night sights, but my threat's very well illuminated because of where he's standing, and then that's going to work out great. But I can't depend on that situation. So if you have night sights, fine, but you also need either a handheld or a weapon-mounted light. My feeling is a handheld light is mandatory, and a weapon-mounted light is a luxury, but it's highly recommended that when it comes time to shoot, it's much easier to control the firearm effectively and deliver accurate hits by using a weapon-mounted light than it is trying to marry a flashlight to the gun or to use some other flashlight technique. Now, majority of those of you in the Glock world, you own a Glock, it came with plastic sights, which are basically placeholders. So you probably replace them with something. I'm a big fan of fiber optics. On my RMR guns, I run all black sights. Night sights are only on the guns that actually came with them. So I don't run out and purchase night sights unless it's to evaluate the newest and greatest technology. Night sights also, especially those with tritium inserts, also tend to make the sights a little bit fatter than I would like. Just because of the nature of that tritium vial, it makes the sight have to be thicker, front sight and rear notch. So they can't make the sights as thin as necessarily as they'd like to. So basically my opinion is night sights are not a gimmick. Although some people pursue them and recommend them far beyond what they're actually reasonably capable of. My feeling is you can do everything without them, but they do, obviously if you buy a Glock and it comes with plastic sights, you got to throw something on there. Night sights work great. Does that mean you should be running all blacks? Not necessarily. Does that mean you should run fiber optics? It's really kind of a personal decision. I like fiber optics because they're really, really bright during the day, and that's awesome. Because night sights don't really serve a great purpose during the day unless they're the HD style, which gives me that neon point of aim. And then you've got Mariglow caps and TFOs, and there's so many different types of sights out there. And as much as I try to get some time on all of them, there's just some sights out there that maybe are going to pop up in the comment section that I've never even looked at. And that's just a possibility I have to accept. But what I can say is of all the dozens and dozens and dozens of night sights I've evaluated, I've never been like, I have to have this set of sights on every single gun I own. It's not a thing. When it comes to shooting under low light, any set of good sights is going to allow me to shoot the way that I want to shoot and the way that I might have to shoot because I have lighting sources available to me. And of course, I don't want to turn this into a discussion on, well, you don't want to use a weapon light because you give your position away, because that's a myth that people understand when they haven't spent a lot of time actually shooting under low light, especially force on force. That comment usually comes from people who don't have a lot of two-way low light experience, and that's okay. That's why they should take classes or find a way to practice low light a little bit more realistically. So if you want night sights, go ahead and grab night sights. Just realize that they're not a magic pill. They're not a magic solution to a problem. They have their disadvantages just like any other sighting system is going to have, but can be overcome with proper use of white light. Or the situation may completely rule them out based on available lighting conditions. I'm not going to be the guy, if somebody wants me to be, I'm not going to be the guy who's going to be, oh, well, you know, Aaron Cowan hates night sights and this is why. I don't hate them. They're much better than the plastic placeholders you get when you buy a Glock, and they're much better than some of the other cheap sights that are out there. But like I said, they're not a magic solution to a problem. I don't consider them to be a necessity. You just have to have quality sights. I'm Aaron Cowan with Stage Dynamics. Train accordingly.